Corsace Closed 2024, where the names on the screen need very little introduction, is fucking... Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Corsace Closed 2024 Finals Weekend, where the names on the screen need very little introduction. It is the latest installment in the epic series between Malisczewski and mrekk. The 1v1 matchup that has been probably more hype than just about anything else in the tournament scene over the last couple of years. These guys have gone back and forth, establishing themselves as two of the best tournament players in the game. And today we get to see them duke it out once again on a late stage pool, with the maybe small wrinkle of this being in the losers bracket this time, which adds just a little more interest to things, because one of these guys is going to be eliminated in the top 6 after reaching grand finals last year. I'm this one guy. Joining me this morning is Mavs for what is sure to be an incredible match.
Yeah, good morning everyone, and welcome. As you said, a extremely hype matchup today. I can't believe that this is a lower bracket match. If you were to go into this tournament and tell anybody, Malisczewski and mrekk are gonna be in the lower bracket versing each other, I think you're lying. Like, honestly, I can't believe this is even a thing, but here we are today for the first time in history. Malice and mrekk fighting in the lower bracket, and this is gonna be a banger today. I'm super excited to get into this one. I was looking over the pool before, and there's some very interesting maps in here. The pool difficulty is looking just relentlessly hard, and I'm not too sure who that's going to favor overall. Some of the mechanics on a lot of these maps are looking really, really hard, and there's also a lot of tech in there. So, of course, there's room for both of these players, and I actually think we're just in for a close matchup regardless.
Yeah, we've seen these two go back and forth, and it's always in finals or grand finals. They're always playing on these really hard pools, and typically we've always said mrekk is the stronger player on the skill cap pools. He's the guy who you get to these 8.5 to 9 star map pools and just does not fall off in the way of some of the opponents. Does have a bit of a winning streak here against Malisczewski. If you go back to last year's closed grand finals, he's won 4 1v1 sets in a row, in addition, of course, to putting on a heroic performance in the tiebreaker in the Australia versus Poland match in OWC. So it feels like mrekk has Malisczewski figured out regardless of pool, which is a scary thing to think about one of the greatest tournament players the scene has ever encountered. But I think there's a lot of a certain skill set in this pool, and that skill set being speed. And regardless of what you see on the screen here, that is, I think, mrekk's favored entry point into this match. He's got the Nomad 5, he's got the entire DT pool. That's a lot of picks right off the bat for the guy, and he goes underrated a little bit, I think, when it comes to tech and reading, especially in these super late stages where the skill cap of those skills comes into play. So very interesting, I think, to think about and try to predict what these two guys are going to look into banning and picking in this one.
Yeah, I think the question is for Malisczewski is whether or not he can just stop the vicious freight train that is mrekk coming off of a 12-0 victory in last week's matches, just 6-0ing both of his opponents. So I don't know, really, what can you do if you're Malisczewski in this situation? You've just gone down to Henry, going down to lower bracket in Corsace Closed after sweeping through the upper bracket in the previous Corsace Closed. So it's a very tall task here, I think, for Malisczewski to break the streak, as you mentioned, and actually take mrekk down in a 1v1 finally after what's been a pretty long time now. But yeah, like you said, these key statistics on screen, although Malisczewski topping a lot of the overall skill sets out of qualifiers, it's not to be undervalued the skill cap that mrekk has. Obviously, he didn't have the best seeding in the qualifiers. He came out number 7. It's not what you expect from mrekk, and it's not what you're going to get from mrekk today either. We're expecting, at least I'm expecting, a much better performance than that of a seed 7, I think, in a top international 1v1 tournament. So you can definitely expect mrekk, especially after his last 2 weeks' performances, to come in raring to go, ready to slam the fist down and show Maliszewski what the number one player is capable of. I mean, yeah, I think going into this one, I actually probably favor mrekk a little bit.
I think, excuse me, I think it's hard to ever not favor mrekk in these super late stages. He just scales so incredibly well. And yeah, the 7 seed thing, I mean, obviously, you know, we've poked some amount of fun at that over the course of the tournament because, you know, he was not, I don't think, really in the mindset for qualifiers when he played them. And in a tournament that's as competitive as this one is, that'll drop you down pretty far pretty quick. But yeah, off the back of a 12-0 weekend, the confidence gonna be pretty high. I think mrekk played what, like a total of an hour in his 2 matches. I mean, they were seriously about a half hour each. It was just a speed run through those losers bracket matches. As you mentioned, Malisczewski dropping 6-4, first time dropping down to losers bracket here. You gotta wonder, because I know he and Henry have had a little bit of a rivalry as well. You gotta wonder if that affected his mental at all. Not the sort of guy who generally gets affected mentally by match results, but also not a guy who loses very many matches to have that experience of dealing with adversity.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've never seen, like, Maliszewski shake. Like, the guy he's cool, calm, collected always, even in the worst of situations, it seems. I mean, even last week's match, you know, a few unfortunate circumstances panning out for him, he still just looked calm. He still looked like he had it under control. Unfortunately, like, just falling barely short, but was still performing well. And, like, that's the main thing with Maliszewski is, like, he just always seems to perform well no matter the circumstances. And maybe sometimes he'll perform maybe a little below what he expected. But, like, I just don't see bad matches from a player like Maliszewski. You just don't see it happen really ever. So, you know, on the contrary, mrekk, we've definitely seen not the best of matches from mrekk in the past. He's definitely had times where maybe he's not in the super, you know, tawny headspace, in the tawny headspace for the grind set for that, and he kind of just doesn't perform very well in a tournament match. It's definitely been bound to happen. Will it happen today? I don't think so. He's going into this one against Maliszewski. He's probably practiced the pool a lot. I think we can probably expect both of these players coming in very, very prepared as we wait on the bans that will hopefully pick up here soon. But yeah, I mean, like you said, a decent amount of speed in this pool. There's also a lot of tech in this pool, which is something worth mentioning. But one thing I did notice with a lot of these tech maps, which, as you of course get into the later stages, is they have some very difficult mechanics as well, which of course I think Maliszewski is going to be favored on a lot of these tech picks, but you got to wonder as well, some of the mechanics on some of these tech picks specifically as well might actually be quite good for mrekk. Of course, he's never going to come out on top in terms of the accuracy and whatnot, but it doesn't mean he can't win these picks.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you look at like last week's maps in common, right, they did both play the No Mod 4 last week. Maliszewski put up the best score of the week on that No Mod 4 with an 863k, just barely choking an FC at the very end. mrekk was number 2 on it, but he was all the way down at 592k. You know, nearly a 300,000 score gap from first to second. And mrekk did actually have the higher AC on that one, as you mentioned, talking about maybe Maliszewski typically being higher in that regard, but it was actually a 1% AC lead for mrekk on that particular pick. Also last week, Maliszewski was almost 300k higher on the No Mod 3, but fortunately for mrekk, a very different style of No Mod 3 this week. A lot less of the sort of dense reading, awkward alt, whereas this week is a little more, you know, flow snap traditional modern alt mapping. So curious to see, you know, if those scores maybe switch up a little bit as the players get into a pick that they're more comfortable on in those slots, assuming we end up playing them. And as you said, a fair amount of tech in this pool, you know, throughout. You've got No Mod 4, you've got Hidden 3. Hidden 4 is kind of techy. Hard Rock 3, like, there is definitely, I mean, DT4 as well is a just straight up tech DT map.
Even Hidden too, a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you want to count, you know, sort of like alts, like aim and finger control, I guess. So, yeah.
So there's, I think, a fair amount of sort of late stage skill set overlap between these two in this matchup. I think there's a lot of what makes them both a great late stage tournament player that they will both be expected to play well on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you mentioned, yeah, a decent amount of tech in the pool that, of course, it's going to be interesting to see the kind of the maps that are going to actually be more even in terms of things. I think you're going to have to favor things like the super heavy mechanics to someone like mrekk, and probably the more reading oriented and control picks that aren't as heavily mechanics focused to someone like Malisczewski. But yeah, you're going to have a lot of those picks sort of in the middle, that middle section where both of these players are going to be fighting for it. I think we're going to be looking at the combo for mrekk and the accuracy for Malisczewski. Said to how these players tend to be sometimes, especially in these late stages. Malisczewski's always just going to have that better accuracy on those types of maps. But I'm hoping we do get into the bans here soon. I'm not sure if both the players have showed up. So I'm not 100% sure what's happening right now. I am praying that they both show up. I think it might be mrekk that's not here right now.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but hopefully we get going here. I'm hearing that we at least have Malisczewski in the lobby, so it does sound like we are indeed waiting on mrekk. But, well, hopefully we'll get going shortly. We do, of course, have the back-to-back-to-back matches going on this morning after the reschedules. So hopefully everything can go pretty smoothly because we've got a couple more really good ones. Of course, the winners bracket final, 13 UTC Enry versus worst HR player, is going to be a really super strong match to come. And then the winner of this match faces off against Kriller, who won yesterday right after that. So regardless of what happens in this one, we should have some good OSU to follow it, I guess, is what I am trying to say. I genuinely don't know who wins the winners final either. That's a matchup that I don't think we expected to see there, but that should be a pretty fun one considering those two have some very interesting skill set overlap as well. There's kind of shades of this one in that where you have Enry, who's like this tapping superiority player, but worst HR player who's better generally at the gimmick stuff. Kind of like here, where you have mrekk, the better tapping player, and Malisczewski, who's known for his gimmick play. So should be some good stuff coming up too.
Yeah, and Enry Forum is a really interesting one for winner bracket. I mean, I honestly wouldn't have expected to see Enry in the winners finals at this point in the tournament. You've got players like Malisczewski, mrekk in there. I definitely saw a world where Forum did make it through, and of course, I mean, he played very, very well. Even taking speed maps off of some very good speed players in this tournament, just really showing what he's capable of in the 1v1 scene, which I love to see. I haven't really, been able to have the pleasure of seeing Forum perform in 1v1 tournaments yet. He's kind of getting there now internationally in the 1v1s, performing really well. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, like you said. Some contrasting factors with this match, and the speed and the tapping, of course, especially at this stage. It's starting to get into the stage where maybe Forum is going to struggle with actually being able to cheese any of these tapping maps, but we'll have to see. I'm not sure exactly what he's capable of on the tapping, how far he can take it, but he's doing damn well so far. And of course, there's gimmicky reading maps, some of them in this pool, the No Mod 6 for Forum is just disgusting. The Hidden 2, I don't even want to see what he does to that map, because that's probably going to be one of the stupidest scores of the weekend if I had to give a prediction.
Assuming it gets left up. I don't know if he'll be allowed to play it. I don't know if he's allowed to play that map.
Well, it's No Mod 6 or Hidden 2, right? That goes out.
Yeah. Presumably. Yeah, I feel like that's always the thing with Forum too, is that he's capable of pop-offs on maps that almost no one else is capable of pop-offs on. The number of players who can do the things that he does on the super high star rating, heavy reading aim control maps, I mean, you can basically count it on one hand. So it's always an exciting time. And so just for update here, we are still trying to get a hold of mrekk, it would seem. I'll Obviously, nobody wants to have a forfeit here in finals of Malisczewski versus mrekk of all things.
Not this match. Every
Yeah,
match.
this is the match that nobody would ever in a million years want to miss out on. So we are doing everything we can here behind the scenes to hopefully get the player we need.
Chad is saying he showed up. I mean,
Chad is saying he's online.
I don't know how.
Being online, of course, does
yeah.
not mean he's actually, here in the game.
I don't know how
ready to go.
reliable
He
this
could just.
info is.
What's that?
I don't know how reliable this info is that he's showed up. I guess we'll see.
Not entirely sure either. So we are kind of chilling for the moment. So we did have, of course, yesterday the Kriller versus MCY4 match. We got to watch that one because that was a match that lived up to expectations of finals week. Kriller taking it 7-5. Gotta feel kind of bad for MCY4 for as well as Kriller played both his last two matches in this tournament. Last week against first HR player, and then this week against Kriller. MCY4 took a late break point, was one map away from either winning or tying things up depending on the match, and then just lost several maps in a row to lose because Kriller went on a rampage here last week. Forum went on a rampage there to win. I think it was back-to-back maps or 3 maps in a row at the end, and here Kriller won 4 maps in a row at the end. So bit unfortunate for MCY4, but impressive from Kriller. That advanced him onward to face the winner of this match. So
yeah, Kriller's been a really, really competitive player now for a little while. He's always been sort of at the top, but never at the tippy top with the best of the best. But I'm curious to see if he can go any further in the tournament. It's going to be a tall task, that's for sure. But he's been performing very, very well, taking down Taquito, taking down MCY4, like you said. Just all around, just performing very well. He's always just been a really good player in team tournaments whenever I watch him as well. Like just in your 4v4s, like some of the old Corsaces and such. He's just always performed very, very well. Of course, OWC. So it's great to see him performing well in an international 1v1 like this, making into the top 6. Definitely an achievement for him. I would think so. But man, I'm praying. I'm praying we get the mrekk Malisczewski. Please, mrekk.
Yeah, I'm 100% unsure as to what exactly is happening. Yeah, I feel like Kriller suffers from like a very, very slightly lower skill cap than the few people you could name off as being ahead of him. It's like we're kind of at the point of delineating into tiers, where right now at the top it's basically like Malisczewski, mrekk, Enry, and apparently now like worst HR player. And then maybe you can toss in a couple others who don't really play 1v1s like Rectagon. And then you drop down to the next tier where you have basically just a whole bunch of people. You've got like Sudi, you have Kriller, you have maybe MCY4, who's been obviously playing out of his mind in this tournament, Tuna, Taquito, Decate, and Intercambing, like basically anyone that was still alive last week that isn't still alive this week and expected to be a top 3, top 4 person. They just kind of all get shoved into the same group. And I don't know if it's possible to move from that group up, unfortunately. It's very, very challenging. But we'll see. This is a big step forward, I think, for Kriller to do what he has done in this tournament in a 1v1 scenario where he's won some big team tournaments, but winning big 1v1s is a little bigger challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. But curious to see how he does nonetheless. And I mean, for this matchup, assuming it goes through, what's your prediction for this one, T1G? What did you predict on the prediction stream, and like what was the general sentiment overall?
I think the general sentiment for pretty much everyone was that none of us could actually pick a solid favorite. We were picking winners because we had to, not because we wanted to. I picked mrekk. I think I said something on the lines of like 7-5, or maybe on a tiebreaker, because that's just how close this matchup trends to be, especially when both players are having a good day. which you generally anticipate them to be doing when they're matched up against each other. And yeah, so I know you weren't on, of course, that prediction stream, but I don't know. What do you think you would have said?
I mean, definitely after looking at the pool just earlier today, I think I probably would have given it to mrekk. Of course, I think it's always going to be close, but I just think I was unsure. For me, it depended how hard the pool was going to be. And of course, like the harder pool, I would favor mrekk. So like grand finals, I would have favored mrekk like almost every time. And then semis, I probably would have favored Malisczewski. But in the finals, I was like, oh, this is going to be really close no matter what. I got to see how hard the pool is. And I mean, I saw how hard some of these maps are, how unplayable some of them look. And I was just like, yeah, a lot of these tech maps as well are really mechanically intensive. I'm just like, I think mrekk can probably do it. But for him to do it, he does need to show up to the match. So that's the first step in getting this train going.
Yeah, that is going to be the key. I know. I will say, like, the other players involved in the bracket multiple of them have said they don't mind rescheduling, playing later, etc. to accommodate, because literally nobody wants to see this match get forfeited. I don't know what, if anything, we've heard from Malisczewski specifically, obviously the opponent for mrekk here, but we're still kind of playing this by ear, guys, so hopefully we'll have some patience as we sort through this scenario, because literally nobody wants to see a forfeit happen. But at the same time, like, we are literally at the 20-minute mark here just about, and nobody has been able to get in touch with mrekk, so
oh man, this could just be pure tragedy, but I do hope that regardless, I still hope we end up seeing the match, but at some point, even if it's not now, but as per the rules, you know, it's technically Malisczewski could just take the win right now. But no one wants to see that. A Malisczewski versus mrekk match. This is what you expect as like the big grand final, the finale to everything. And they're in the lower bracket finals, which is just stupid that one of them is not going to get top 4. Absolutely, like, it's just a cooked matchup. It would be pretty heartbreaking to see this one not get played at some point in the weekend. Well, I mean, I don't even know when they would play. If they didn't play now, I guess it would probably just be like tomorrow, because it's 10 p.m. right now in Australia, so unless mrekk is just fast asleep right now and wakes up at 2 in the morning. He's been known to do.
Yeah, I mean, oh God, I don't know. This is just such a tragedy, dude. Like, this has been one of the most hyped matchups historically. Our lobby has actually, so this has been waiting for so long that the match lobby actually died, because they only lasted 30 minutes. And we are now past 30 minutes since it was made. I'm just gonna say right now, unfortunately, I think it's looking more and more like we're gonna end up just seeing a forfeit here, because nobody's able to get in touch with mrekk, despite other players saying they're okay with rescheduling to accommodate. So, like, obviously we put that over. You know, that would be very, you know, something that we would take into consideration. But of course, the rules do say that at this point you would have a forfeit. So we're kind of, you know, trying to weigh those two options and making a decision here, because don't want to lose out on this opportunity, but it looks like that unfortunately might be what's happening. So this is one of the most depressing things that
there's no way, man.
That's one of the most depressing things I've ever seen.
I mean, dude, I can't. I've been stalling for too long. I don't have the willpower anymore. This is actually an 07. Oh, he just typed in chat where.
Typed in chat. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, we're gonna have to sort this out here because it is literally 20 minutes past match time. So, yeah, hang on for a second here.
Yeah, we will hopefully get back to you guys shortly. We're gonna wait and find out here if the match will be continuing. Okay, it seems to be that we are going to get the match, I believe. I mean, I've just been informed that the rolls are in. So I believe we will be getting the matchup, which is at least the light at the end of the tunnel finally reached.
Yeah, we managed to kill 25 minutes of time yapping, and it was enough for mrekk to show up. But yeah, so this is like one of those situations where literally like we're in finals stage. This is the most anticipated matchup in the entire tournament. So nobody wants to see a forfeit, and other players have said that they're okay with pushing matches a bit to accommodate for this one. And so I believe what's going to be done is Malisczewski is going to automatically be given the roll win, and he's also mrekk is also going to lose both of his bans. So in order, as sort of like a that's like often what is used in rule sets for situations of a player arriving late, is like first they'll lose the roll, then they'll lose their bans. So we're going to go with that option, kind of the executive decision here, because everybody wants a match to occur. And so we're going to do what we can to allow a match to occur. Nice little executive decision made there.
Yep. Well, we are probably going to be getting this one underway then, thankfully, at the very least. Unfortunately, for mrekk in that case, though, there's probably going to be a pick here for Malisczewski that mrekk was probably planning on banning, where mrekk is probably just going to get completely slaughtered, as I'm imagining he's just probably not practiced it. I would say that's possibly the no mod 6 in this case. But we'll wait and find out. See what the plans were for mrekk in terms of his bans.
Yeah, you gotta figure it'd be a situation where it's a situation where mrekk would have been banning like stuff that he's usually pretty poor at. This will be interesting to see. The upside there is, as we discussed, like there's skill sets that mrekk is kind of better at than anticipated. Especially late stage, where people trend to just getting lower scores. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of practicing, obviously the players like at this caliber, they're still gonna do well on maps they haven't like played, that they're just, let's say they're like sight reading, where they haven't practiced it at all. But then there's those few maps, things like that no mod 6. Or if you're not like a reading player, you're probably going to have some struggles on a constant perfect stack at low AR. So that is something to look out for. If that ends up being the case, that might not even be mrekk's planned ban. He might have been wanting to leave it up. Although I know mrekk, and it's probably not something he would want to practice. So not too sure.
Yeah, I think, oh man, I don't know, trying to predict on early picks and what we would expect of maps that normally mrekk wouldn't be playing is rough. I am low key. I'm just gonna openly admit I'm low-key running out of talking points here until we actually get into bans and the picks. So,
well, we are getting a ban here, hopefully very soon here for Malisczewski. I would assume he's still just getting the 2 normal bans. So first ban coming out, it's actually gonna be DT1, which I mean this one does make sense. I was expecting either something like this, possibly the DT2 on mod 5. The CT1 makes sense though. I mean, this is just like mrekk territory. Get this out of the pool. It's such a hard DT1. This map is really hard because it's not just generic, like, DT1 aim. It's just weird. Like, the aim is just so weird that at AR 10.5, it's just super. You need to be really, really good at maps like this. Like a player like mrekk to play this comfortably, play it well in a 20. So take that one out. It makes sense for Malisczewski. That DT2 and no mod 5 still being up for mrekk.
Yeah, this was something that I kind of was thinking going into this match was that there are quite a few of these good late stage like speed and tapping type maps available for mrekk. You know, even with a DT1 ban and probably, you know, one of the others banned, he'll still have like 3 or 4 pretty good tapping picks that are going to be, I think, pretty favored. What's happening?
Wait, it's changed to DT2? Has Malisczewski got 2 bet? Okay.
So I think so. It sounds like Malisczewski thought that he was getting mrekk's bans rather than mrekk's bans being removed, which is how I understood the decision that was being made was occurring, at least. That was my take on it, because I don't know that I've ever heard of somebody being given for like all bans before. I don't know. Who knows? English as a second language moment, perhaps for for Malisczewski. Not sure.
So it is going to be the DT2 instead over the Flood, which, I mean, this was something I expected, obviously. It's a 291 BPM, just relentless speed and finger control map. Going to be taken out. 291 BPM, man. So that one makes sense to go. But that DT1 still up for mrekk. I think the silver lining of Malisczewski laying out his 4 bans like that, I think is like his bans are pretty obvious against a player like mrekk. I think mrekk already knew if Malisczewski was going to pick like 4 maps to ban, you could probably predict what they would be. Just in a matchup like this, it's pretty easy to kind of gauge what Malisczewski doesn't want to play against a player like mrekk. So yeah, getting into hopefully the first pick though here very soon. Hopefully we get some quick picks. Obviously starting the match 30 minutes late. But
presumably not very warm here for mrekk, who is first picking Nomad 3? Question mark. Assuming that is correct. This is the I'm not warmed up yet, so I'm gonna leave my mechanics maps until I have at least played something and my fingers are ready to go, right? Because there's never a world where mrekk first picks a Nomad 3 into Maliszewski without very, very good reason. Not when there's a Nomad 5, DT1, DT3, DT4 all available. So I have to figure that this is mrekk just picking this basically as a warm-up map.
Yeah, I mean, probably to be expected. A little bit of history, actually, in OWC 2022, when we played against Canada. And we actually first picked a map for mrekk to warm up on because he showed up late to the match, just like today. So exact same scenario here, except mrekk in the 1v1 situation, possibly like you said, picking something like this to get the warm up going. However, a map like this, it's not bad for mrekk. There is a lot of very, very intense aim patterns in a map like this. However, there's also a lot of flow, which of course Malisczewski is going to be the king of. As you can see early on, holding the FC, mrekk pulling off that pattern. Probably not expecting mrekk to win this first map, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, this is a very, very challenging scenario to be dropped into here. Trying to warm up in the match, essentially. But, you know, holding steady on the combo, just those early big chain misses from mrekk, dropping him down pretty far. The act down to 91 as we are about halfway through. 65k score lead in favor of Malisczewski in the early goings. Like you mentioned, that flow and control aim for Malisczewski so incredibly strong. And, you know, if you're not warmed up and ready to go on it, you might struggle a bit, exactly as mrekk did at the beginning there. Still a decent amount of map left, still a third of the way to go. But dead even combo and another reset there for mrekk going to make this very challenging. We might be seeing an early, pretty unsurprising, but a very early breakpoint.
Just as I was about to say, the curtains aren't quite closed yet. There goes mrekk on absolutely nothing. That's definitely like the no warm-up type miss that you get when you're just warming up on Osu, just missing on nothing there. But yeah, with those misses as well, Malisczewski continuing to shred the majority of this map, still going, hitting all of these patterns. Just Malisczewski territory finally finds a drop, but it's more than enough from him, with a pretty damn impressive score on this, over 400k and climbing, almost 97%, hitting all of these patterns, man. There's the chain miss you expect. Finally going down, but Malisczewski, great way to open up the matchup for him. mrekk, hopefully getting accustomed to the tablet right now, getting warmed up. Hopefully we'll see something a bit stronger from him on his next pick.
Yeah, it's that's pretty rough starting off with a map like that. 30 misses and just was never able to establish much in the way of combo. Obviously not prepped and ready to go for very obvious reasons, but the problem here for mrekk is, without having a good first pick to win, you're giving up most likely a consolidated break point just to start off the match, because Maliszewski can pick stuff that obviously normally would have been banned here. So you're looking at a very possible fast 2-0 here. The Nomad 6 available, Hidden 2 available, which are frequent bans for mrekk against Maliszewski historically, generally liking to avoid those reading picks. And now Maliszewski gets them all available at his disposal here. So we might see a quick bit of momentum to the Polish player.
Yeah, now the question is, what does he pick here? And it is going to be the Hard Rock 3, which was a map that I had a bit of an eye open for Maliszewski. This one specifically seemed like one of the tech maps that I think he was going to perform probably the best on out of most of them in this pool. This Hard Rock 3, just a lot of aim control and some intensive slider aim, a lot more slider aim as compared to a lot of the other tech maps in this pool.
Yeah, very, very. I'm actually, to be honest, I'm a little surprised to see him going with this first, but it's a pick that I think he's gonna be very good at. Right, Maliszewski, Hard Rock Tech, like normally it's HDHR Tech, but Hard Rock Tech, that dude shreds.
Yeah, no, for sure. So getting this one out early. And I mean, in this situation where mrekk doesn't have his bans, right, I suppose you could change up the strategy a little bit. You can hold on to those picks that you want to hold on to for maybe later in the match this time. He doesn't have to first pick them like you do in a normal Corsace match where you've got to get your good picks out of the way before your opponent can get their second ban. But in this scenario, not the case for Maliszewski. But early on, mrekk finding a reset, another reset there as we move into the first difficult section, and Maliszewski still holding onto that FC.
Yeah, this is just some brutal slider tech, a little bit reminiscent to times of last week's Nomad 4, with just these really challenging slider aim patterns, and you can see mrekk very much still not warmed up, and Maliszewski came ready to play on this one as he is holding on to a 300 plus combo, 10% accuracy lead. Up at 95 still, which is really a solid bit of accuracy on a map that's this difficult with all the slider ends you're going to be dropping. And man, we're just watching a master at work here for Maliszewski. Nearly a 500 combo. And mrekk we haven't seen get above, well, this is his highest combo. He might reach up to 200 now, but it is so far gone for him at a 200k lead. Maliszewski is just destroying this pick.
Oh, gets a slight misaim there. Absolute masterclass for Maliszewski up to that point. Over halfway through the map, already 325k. Yeah, this is a ridiculous score. There's wiggles as well, both players getting through them, but I mean, at this point, I think mrekk's accuracy is just too low to mount any form of a comeback here. Especially with that miss. Maliszewski's done more than enough to seal this one. And what are these wiggles, man? I mean, neither player able really to get through them. Just the consistent back-to-back wiggles mixed in with those really difficult mechanics. It's definitely no slouch a map like this, man. So brutal on Hard Rock as well. Like that spaced kick slider stream. mrekk actually hitting it. Another just completely brutal pattern. But yeah, I mean, you can see. Like, what are these patterns, man?
Yeah.
How do you even combo that? Maliszewski.
Yeah,
wow.
I don't know. Maliszewski, like, you know that the guy practices a lot. You know that the guy comes prepared. You know that especially on maps he's planning to pick, he is going to be on his A game. But this is just something else entirely. I mean, regardless of the opponent's score, putting up a 420k or higher on this map is outrageous. Hitting the patterns that he did is outrageous. And that is a quick little 2-0 consolidated break point advantage for Maliszewski here with a really strong play. 6 misses, just shy of 94 AC, 441k, man, that's really solid.
Yeah, I mean, that's an insanely good score for Maliszewski. And now it's up to mrekk to hopefully start building some momentum here. I think at this point you've got to pick one of your strong maps. You don't have infinite amount of maps to warm up. You've got to get into it at some point. I think by now he's going to have to go into some of the tapping. Hopefully he's going to be able to play it. I think maybe DT1's open as well. It's got to be the Nomad 5 or the DT1. I think at this point Maliszewski's going to have his second ban coming in. You've got to pick one of your strong maps here.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to be like DT1, DT3, no mod 5, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know how long it takes mrekk to warm up. Obviously, different players, it takes shorter or longer depending on who you might be. But you got to think that 2 maps in, he's not at peak performance. He's not going to be 100%, but he's got to be close enough in a hurry here to be able to pick something that's actually quite favored to him. And it is going to be the DT3 pick, so we are going to get Tweaker. Ooh. It is speedy finger control, a tapping pick, to the surprise of pretty much no one. 248 BPM, so not going to be obviously as fast as the DT2, but it is plenty long and requires quite a bit of stamina and finger control.
Yeah, I mean, the stamina requirement on this is very, very high. You know, curious to see, though, the BPM that it is at. It's probably for a player like mrekk, like, not that fast. I think he probably will be fine on something like this, just without much of a warm-up. So I think this pick probably makes sense. I think maybe hold off on that. I mean, you could hold off on the DT1 a bit more, but again, I think Maliszewski's probably just going to ban that DT1 now, so that one's probably going to be gone. So after this, mrekk's still going to have that Nomad 5 that I'd say he's probably advantaged on. But yeah, this DT3, I mean, you would expect mrekk to win this on any normal day. Will he win it right now, though? I'm not too sure, because I think this is about it's 240 something BPM, if I remember correctly. And I mean, Malisczewski as well, he's also going to be able to play this. Yeah, 248 BPM. Maliszewski's also going to be able to play this probably decently well. I don't think the BPM is going to be too much out of his reach. We might start to see some stamina troubles for him, but I think he's going to do fairly well on it.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen Maliszewski able to set some pretty solid speedy and figure control scores. It's definitely, it started off being his weakness, but like anything else that approaches a weakness for Maliszewski, he addressed it. Still not a, top like 0.001% speed player like maybe an mrekk or an Henry or an Akalben or something, but he is definitely, as far as the tournament players go, definitely right up there. As you said, the stamina might be the concern because this is a pretty unrelenting map, but against an mrekk who isn't super warmed up, you don't know what those tapping hands are feeling like for him. So always a chance here, especially if Maliszewski can get an early lead. He's up by a couple hundred combo and already about a 30k lead.
Yeah, and I think this first section here is going to pretty much tell us what the conclusion of this map might end up being. We'll have to see. Accuracy looking quite good for both players, so that's what you like to see for mrekk. Accuracy looking quite decent early on in this map, and both players getting through that long stream. Now we're getting into this just consistent longer streams and bursts that are coming in. This is where the stamina really starts to pick up in this map. Maliszewski's still holding that FC. Accuracy there for both players. There goes Maliszewski tanking a bunch of accuracy like we were saying. Running out of stamina, but he hits it all. He gets through it all, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. He's still holding onto that FC. 900 combo and climbing over halfway through the map. And now they're going to see the scores. The 3% AC lead here for mrekk. But it is a 40k lead to Maliszewski thanks to that extra bit of combo he's got. Can Maliszewski hold on through these longer streams in the latter portion of this map?
Well, there's a big break from mrekk, so he may not even have to, because now mrekk does not have the combo to try to bring this back. Maliszewski is still holding on, but even then, mrekk has no combo to try to combat him. He is 130k score down. The comeback is looking less and less likely because Maliszewski is looking pretty solid. Continues to hold despite dropping a ton of accuracy. It's 93 AC, but it's an FC still for Maliszewski, and this one is now pretty well out of reach. This is a ridiculous performance from Maliszewski, and this, I guess, is why he was okay with banning DT2 instead of this. Finally breaks near the very ending, but it's going to be up around a 700k score for Maliszewski, who is showing why he is able to weave up some of these tapping stamina picks against even a player like mrekk.
Yeah, finally running out of stamina at the very end there. Well, I say finally, he clearly kind of ran out of stamina in that middle section as well, but he just managed to hold onto the combo. Pulls home the 91% B rank with a 728k. That is an unbelievable performance for Maliszewski to pull off a score like that on a map where, I mean, he clearly is not favored to win, and he clearly looked like he probably should have dropped combo earlier, but just holds on. A valiant effort from him. And mrekk, not even a bad score, but it's just, what can you say at Maliszewski? Just doing Maliszewski things, man. Performing on the maps you don't expect him to. And still just putting up great scores, no matter what you pick against him. And now he gets a chance to consolidate this lead with another pick of his own.
Yeah, and clearly looking, obviously the more warmed up player, but looking just solid in general. I mean, regardless, those were three very solid scores from Maliszewski on three completely different styles of maps. And now, like we said before, he's got whatever picks he wants available to him. So if he wants to go into, again, the Nomad 6 is there, the Hidden 2 is there. He liked that slider tech, looked really good in the Hard Rock 3. So we do have, of course, the Nomad 4 available as well. Plenty of options here for Maliszewski, and a 4-0 lead here would be a pretty rough mountain to try to climb if you're mrekk looking to make some sort of comeback.
Yep, a very tall mountain to climb indeed, and especially when Maliszewski continues to pick tech maps. The Nomad 4, Feigned Innocence coming in. Again, another tech map for Maliszewski to abuse. This one, though, it's got some very mechanically difficult aim in here, and some really, really funny sort of like spaced kickslider streams to look out for. Something that Maliszewski, I think, will handle probably quite well. Yeah, some of those space streams in here, kickslider ones, are very, very spaced. Look, they just looked extremely hard to combo. It just looks confusing to play. That's the thing. You usually get like a space stream like that on normal notes, and like you can play it fairly well. It's comfortable to read, but it's like kick sliders, so it's just not normal, man. But who's the best at not normal maps? Probably someone like Maliszewski, so I'm sure he'll show us how to handle patterns like that.
Yeah, I think if anyone was going to be able to play this map competently, Maliszewski, who is been typically the best tech player in the tournament scene for a fair amount of time now. He'd be the one, but it is here mrekk comboing through the intro. Maliszewski with the early break, but tons and tons of map to go. So I'm not going to be calling this one anytime too soon. Get through the build up into some of the crazy slider patterns. Buzz sliders hitting you, fast sliders hitting you, kick sliders all over the place. This map just does not let you have anything easily. The aim control required, the slider aim control required, so incredibly high. And man, oh man, it maybe looks like mrekk has woken up a little bit here as he is holding through this first section.
Yeah, slowly but surely, just getting warmer and warmer. And there goes Maliszewski. He's actually the one to fall first on the Nomad 4 on the tech map. But there goes mrekk. Trades it back. 20k lead for mrekk. The ACK lead is with Maliszewski. And now with that miss from mrekk, it is going to be the combo lead as well for Maliszewski, moving towards the second half of this map. Still going strong on all of these patterns.
Yeah.
mrekk unable to hold a combo, but Maliszewski in the peak of the map goes strong, finally drops 10k in the lead. But it is a 2% ACK lead as well.
Yeah, and that's what you expect, I think, in this matchup, is Maliszewski to be able to hold higher accuracy on these really tough slider patterns. And, mrekk looked so strong in that opening section, but Maliszewski, when things got a little more difficult, that second slider section is the more challenging in the first half of the map. Maliszewski was able to hold, and it's not a big lead though, man. It's 20k score. Largely, that's thanks to a little bit of extra combo and then that 2% accuracy lead. Still a third of the map to go, though, and if mrekk can hold on through this and find some breaks from Maliszewski, you never know. But instead, it's going to be mrekk with the slider break, and now Maliszewski off to the races here in the last quarter. That lead is going to blossom out quickly if he can hold.
Yeah, I mean, Maliszewski's going to have to miss here pretty much in the next couple seconds if you want a chance for mrekk to take this one. Oh my god, see the aim on this map is just relentless, but both players get through it. And yeah, Maliszewski just looking too strong. Finally finds a miss on that corner jump, but so does mrekk as well. They're both down, and with that 60+k lead for Maliszewski, it's going to be more than enough for him to take this pick. Mind you, nowhere near as convincing as some of the previous picks. A very, very good effort for mrekk on a map like this, but still great performance again from Maliszewski. 400k on maps of this difficulty is nothing to scoff at, especially with a 97.6%.
Yeah, that's a really solid play again from Maliszewski, looking really good on these first early couple of tech picks. Some super impressive stuff. Yeah, that one like you said, it was closer. It was more of a battle than the Hard Rock 3 was. But the important thing is the point did end up going to Maliszewski, and that's a 4-0. He gets another ban, so he can ban out No Mod 5 or DT1. I'm assuming it'll be one of those two. I think he probably leaves up DT4 as a techie sort of DT, whichever he's weaker on of No Mod 5 and DT1. Despite winning DT3, I think that's obviously still going to be the most straightforward ban to choose. And very importantly also, right, this is best of 13, first to 7. Maliszewski 4 points, and he still has a couple of picks that we expect to be very favored toward him. The No Mod 6 Hidden 2 combo, expected to be Maliszewski favored, both still available. If you are of the mindset that he is a near 100% win probability on those maps, then you could almost think of this as Maliszewski already securing tiebreaker.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think I'm scared of that No Mod 6 for mrekk, like we were talking about earlier. I think in terms of a ban here, I think you just go DT1, but no, it's actually going to be the No Mod 5. To my surprise, I would have thought he would take the DT1 out first, just because mrekk on that DT1 might be scary. But it's No Mod 5.
Maliszewski has good aim, and the DT1 is very aim focused. It does have some bursts, but nothing quite so crazy as like a DT2 or something. And this No Mod 5 is literally just straight tapping, and you saw Maliszewski's stamina running out in the DT3, so maybe just doesn't want to risk that sort of thing and would rather chance it on the aim components with a few bursts that encompass the DT1 pick.
Yeah, seems to be the case. And in terms of a pick here, I mean, mrekk's got 2 picks left remaining in this match, assuming Maliszewski takes the rest of the maps here. So you got to get your good picks out of the way. You got to go for that DT1 probably. I don't know what else he picks at this point in the match. I think you've just got to go DT1 if you're mrekk. It's gonna be Hard Rock 2.
Hard Rock 2. So we go Hard Rock, small circle flow aim.
This is,
I mean, it's just mixing it up. It's mixing it up a lot. This is a skill set we haven't seen at all in this match, unless you count like there has been flow aim in the tech maps. But obviously we haven't seen this kind of streamy pick. Maliszewski's got good flow aim. This is another scary one for mrekk, I think.
He does. I'm not gonna doubt the #1 player in the world though. I think he probably knows what he's picking better than any of us do. But I am a bit scared for him going into it, but I mean, we've seen mrekk completely tear up small circle size maps in the past. Absolutely shred on them. I believe picking and beating Maliszewski on a small circle map in last Corsace Closed Grand Finals, if I remember correctly. But mrekk is going to be the one to find the misstep early on. There goes Maliszewski, though, to trade it. Accuracy advantage in favor of Maliszewski, and mrekk down again.
Just big chain misses on these early flow aim patterns. mrekk is going to have to basically bank on hitting the hard patterns in the map, because he's missing in the early sections where you really should be establishing combo through this part of the map, because this is the easier portion, this first third, compared to what this map becomes later on. There is a big break from Maliszewski, and there's the chain miss his way, and that's what happens on these like follow point stream flow aim picks. If you fall off, you're just gone. And now mrekk, with the advantage by a couple hundred combo, should be able to bring this one back over.
Yeah, especially when you're transferring between these bursts and between these streams, hitting that first note. If you miss-aim that first note, you're probably missing 5 times. That tends to be how these small circle, slightly streamy type maps do go. mrekk having troubles with it early on, but getting accustomed now to the small circles as we get into what I would say is a bit of free combo here. Both players gonna be getting through these longer streams, very, very low BPM, so there'll be no issues in terms of stamina or anything like that. The combo is there for mrekk. The accuracy is also there, the 0.5% lead. Maliszewski does have a combo though, but he's got 80k to make up. They're both players down. Quarter of a map remaining. They are going to see each other's scores. mrekk, I mean, he should have this one in the bag at this point.
Yeah, you can't really anticipate much out of the last quarter of this map. Some of these spacing patterns go so incredibly hard. Just the difficulty here is super high, but there was a huge chain miss from mrekk. Wait a minute.
Oh,
Maliszewski held through that entire thing, and mrekk just dropped so hard. But, oh, there goes Maliszewski with the break when the opportunity was there to try to claw this back at the ending. If Maliszewski had held, he'd have this entire ending that's free combo, man. This would have been doable. This would have been doable. But instead, it's going to be mrekk getting on the board with his first point by about 20k. Oh, a missed opportunity there for Maliszewski for another break point.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Maliszewski would have taken that one if he held the combo, but one of the hardest patterns in the map coming in near the ending there, that square stream, completely brutal. Does manage to find the drop on it. 20k lead for mrekk, barely secures it though. But he gets on the board. That's what you want to see. I mean, if you want a closer match, we don't really want to see a 7-0 sweep with Maliszewski versus mrekk. So mrekk finally warming up. We've seen these past couple maps actually putting up some decent performances, getting closer and closer to winning the picks. Finally wins one on the Hard Rock too. So seems like we were wrong to even doubt him for a moment. Does perform on that one very, very well. And now Maliszewski to pick. If mrekk can manage to some way, somehow find a break point on Maliszewski's pick here, it's going to be looking all right for him. But, I mean, can you expect that when Maliszewski's got no mod 6 and hidden 2 in the pocket?
Yeah, the break point chances for mrekk in this match feel like they're few and far between. Still has... Is actually, I believe, going into the Nomad 6. I was going to say still has, as you said, the Nomad 6, but I think we're just going there right now. And then, yeah, the whole hidden pool as well. Waiting on that pick to come in, but I believe this is the Nomad 6. And this is just a brutal, like, perfect stack and control aim low AR map. This is so difficult. AR 6 as well. It is anything that you would generally think of mrekk not being at his best on. That is what this map encompasses. I know he is actually a pretty decent reading player, but it is far from his best skill set. And you like this pick, I think, a lot from Maliszewski here.
Yeah, my prediction is mrekk probably tried to play this map once. He played it, probably played a quarter of the map, quit out and went, yeah, I'm first banning this. I don't want to practice it. But now we're in a scenario where mrekk, of course, he showed up very late to the match, so he's lost both of his bans. If you've showed up late and you're unsure why mrekk doesn't have bans, that's why. He showed up late to the match, so he doesn't have bans. So now he's forced into a pick where he probably isn't ready, but we're going to find out if he is ready. It doesn't seem he is, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay. Go next.
Go next.
This is, yeah, 50% act in the intro. Yeah, well.
I mean, what do you do?
This
isn't playable. Oh, that's not right.
He's actually recovering, so, never mind. Okay. Yeah, this is why having bans is important, and this is why it felt like I think taking away mrekk's bans in this matchup was reasonable, because it basically, you know, it made at least one what appears to be just auto win for Maliszewski. Yeah, this is brutal.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not that mrekk wouldn't be able to play a map like this. If he practiced it, he would. But you know, when you've got a ban, like, what's the point? There's no point in a scenario like this against a player like Maliszewski to practice this, because you just go, okay, I'll just first ban this. I don't waste my time practicing this map. I'm going to use that time to practice other maps in the pool, and that's just the logical thing to do. But unfortunately, a very rare scenario has occurred, and mrekk now is forced into the deep end on an unplayable map on sight read. Dare I say, very, very few players would be able to sight read a map like this.
Yeah, maybe like a Koro, maybe Yolks Pie. It's a pretty short list.
Maliszewski though, with the FC
yeah,
still.
This is ignoring what mrekk is trying and failing to do over on his side of the screen. Let's just watch a master at work here once again. Maliszewski on his picks is just incredible. Oh, and he makes it through the cut.
Oh my
No way he
God.
makes it through all these double streams, dude. Nah, he hits
Wait.
them. What, another? Yes?
No
keep
way.
Going, keep going,
No
keep
way.
going. Oh my...
Wait, what? Did he DC?
Crash?
What happened? No.
There is no way Maliszewski just crashed again.
There's no way.
I mean, he wins the point. Like, he absolutely gets this point regardless. I don't care. But, like, he actually...
That's hilarious.
He left... Yeah, well, I mean... He was FCing, by the way. He was FCing, by the way.
That is absolutely hilarious. Off the back of it, just completely nonsensical performance from Maliszewski, and then I think he just crashes while hitting the hardest part of the map, and still FCing. I think his game just crashes. Which he obviously still wins a point by an absolute landslide. But that is hilarious.
I mean, he won this point, I think, about 100 combo in. He had more score than mrekk got by the end of it. So obviously this point is going his way. Like this outcome was never in doubt. There was never a question of what was going to happen here. There was never a chance where this was comebackable. So, you know, this is, you know, extremely obviously a Maliszewski a win for this one. But man, yeah. So, well done to Maliszewski on that illegal performance, and that's 5-1 now.
Man, I would have loved to see if he could have.
Oh my God! Imagine if he FC'd that, man.
Yeah. That would have been unreal to see Maliszewski FC that no mode 6. Especially, I think he was on the last pattern there in that hard section after hitting like 4 of them in the row somehow. But unfortunate, we don't get to see if he closes it out. mrekk to pick now, 5-1 to Maliszewski. Maliszewski still with the hidden 2 in the back pocket, which is looking probably pretty scary for mrekk as well. However, probably a map mrekk did play a few times, at the very least, just because he knew Maliszewski was probably going to pick that. The plan would have been, you know, ban no mod 6 first. Maliszewski probably picks hidden 2 early. So mrekk probably going to be at least slightly prepared for the hidden 2. But it's going to be the DT4 pick now coming out for mrekk, and this is a scary one.
Yeah, I mean, he does have the only DTFC on this in the world. So, you know, you do, of course, take note of that. But that was, like, him playing this at peak. That was, like, unbelievable, unreal score from mrekk. I don't know that he can recreate anything close to that in a match, and you can't ignore the fact that Maliszewski is also a very, very good tech DT player.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just, you know, in a tournament setting, Maliszewski he's known to be very, very strong on maps like this. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to doubt mrekk, of course. Only FC in the world. He obviously is going to be very comfortable on a map like this. You win this as mrekk, go into Maliszewski's pick, come back to your pick. You've still got DT1. So still some potential points here on the board for mrekk, but he's going to have to really wake up if he wants to try and bring this match even close at all. Currently down 5-1. I mean, this is just a must win for him.
Yep. If mrekk loses this pick, I think the match is effectively over at that point. I don't really see a way of getting all the way back from a 6-1 down. So in we're gonna go. Also, I'm just gonna. I know the map is starting, but I am just gonna say, like, we're gonna have an Enry versus Forum, at least VOD. It is being recorded, so we will have it. I will update as soon as we know exactly what the broadcast schedule for the matches remaining today is going to be. But that match will be available in its entirety on a stream or a VOD at some point following this one. More updates to follow on that. But in we go here with the early accuracy lead to Maliszewski as they both FC the intro.
Yeah, and I mean, for these players, this is pretty free combo. But as I say that, I just immediately curse mrekk. He actually misses on the section. So he's down. Just a slight miss aim, it seemed, for him. A slight lapse in focus. falls off that note. But there goes Maliszewski as well as the map starts to pick up a bit. He is also going to go down. Unexpected misses from both players early on. mrekk now with the combo lead, but the AK lead is huge for Malisczewski, and he's got a little bit of a cushion in terms of that 30k.
It is, what, about 100 combo advantage to mrekk. That doesn't bring back 30k on its own by any means, but it'll help. Any break from either player is going to be crucial now as we get into the harder section. There goes mrekk, in fact, and meanwhile, Malisczewski is still holding on. So the recovery combo coming in. His lead will continue to grow. The accuracy lead's still there in these very difficult sections of the map. Malisczewski coming on strong. And that lead is up to 40k plus at about the halfway mark of what is a very lengthy DT map.
Yeah, but there's a miss for Malisczewski now. Room for mrekk. Not quite sealed just yet. 350 combo and climbing for mrekk. And he does not have much score to make up. It's only about a 25k lead now for Malisczewski. And mrekk has a huge combo advantage. If he can hold on through this last section, he's absolutely going to go ahead and take it. But that's the question. Can he continue to hold? Hits that space kick slider stream. Both players getting through it, in fact. mrekk looking comfortable, looking warmed up. Can he continue to hold through the last section of this map? Still going. There he goes. The slider break. He's down. But he hasn't managed to take the score lead either. And Malisczewski's down as well. And he loses score with that miss as well. mrekk does finally take the lead. It's 5k in his advantage. And climbing with the combo lead. But this is so damn close, Tig.
Yeah, this is incredibly close into the last still quarter of the map to go. It's about a 60 combo lead for mrekk. He's got a 4,000 score lead. That's all. Accuracy just barely in Maliszewski's favor. But this is going to come down to the last section of the map here because that score is so close and it's not going to go anywhere. I believe that the accuracy lead for Malisczewski essentially makes up for the minimal combo lead, but not by much. So lead might go just a little bit in mrekk's favor, but it's just going to come down to the last section of the map. Who will be able to hold? Who might drop here in this last hard part of the map?
And that square as well, just completely relentless. But both players actually hit it, both holding their combo right now. Barely any of the map left, just a sliver, both with combo. 500 combo for mrekk, still maintaining that lead. It's about 15k as he continues to go as we get into what I think is a bit of free combo with the ending here. I think mrekk has done it by about 15k. Barely taking this one.
It looks like it's just barely gonna be mrekk into the ending. Hardly anything in it there. 15k score. But mrekk is gonna be the one to take it. And he's going to put up another point on the board. So 5-2 goes the score. Still Malisczewski comfortably in the lead. But that is a pick again. This could easily just be a 7-0. You know, if you remove 2 misses from Malisczewski on the picks that he's lost, remove that late break on the Hard Rock 2, and remove any one miss basically from this one. But mrekk just able to claw and fight his way back into both of those maps. And so now pick goes over to Malisczewski, still 2 points away. Still 2 points away from closing this one out. And you worry if you're Malisczewski, the warm-up kind of starting to come in for mrekk, but will there be enough time? Are there enough maps available? That's going to be the question. Still the hidden 2 available if he wants it. Where else to go after that?
And that's the worry for mrekk, I think. This hidden 2, I mean, it just looks like the type of map Malisczewski would shred mrekk on. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't mean mrekk can't absolutely pop off on a low AR hidden map. But this one, I mean, it just looks so brutal to play. And there it is, as we were saying, hidden 2, altitude remix. This map, it's sort of like... This is sort of like your traditional type of hidden 3 that you would see in like a late stage, maybe a late stage international tournament, like maybe a couple years ago. But instead, it's like a low AR pick now in the hidden pool. Like somehow this map is AR 7.8, and it's ridiculous. It looks ridiculous to play.
Yeah. I mean, you get into like finals of a tournament like this where the pools are as hard as they are here, and you're gonna expect some ridiculous things. This map is definitely another one in the list where it is just extraordinarily challenging in every way before you even add the pro trade into it. And as you said, CS or AR 7.8, that reading aspect of this is so hard. Malisczewski looked obviously great on the last reading pick until the unfortunate DC. We'll find out if he can look similarly strong on this one. Already starting things off with a 14% accuracy lead as mrekk does not appear to have the rhythm of this intro down, but he is holding the combo. He's just already down 11% ac is the big thing there.
Yeah. That is going to be the problem early on. You can see the ac lead was always going to be in favor of Malisczewski, no matter how prepared mrekk was. But doesn't mean mrekk could not just combo the living crap out of a map like this. We've seen him do it before on Hidden 2s. One that comes to mind is a Corsace a couple years ago in a grand final where he just carried his team on the low AR Hidden. So definitely doable for mrekk, but we can see the ac lead strongly and firmly in favor of Malisczewski early on, and you can see these patterns just relentless. And there goes mrekk. Chain miss after chain miss, and it's what you expect on a map like this. You fall off of one note, you might just note lock, you might just continue to miss, and there he goes, unable to hold any combo. But Malisczewski, all eyes on him. I think note locking or misreading that, I have no idea. But I mean, look at this map team. What am I witnessing?
Yeah, I mean, the flow and the cut patterns in this are just diabolical. This is another one, much like the Nomad 6, where, you know, the list of people who can play this competently is very, very short. And Malisczewski just crucially held on to that combo longer in the intro, because I don't know how much more combo we're going to be seeing in the difficult sections. Obviously, here's a chance to build up. mrekk slightly in the lead in terms of that combo, but so far behind in the score already. It's going to be very challenging for him to make any sort of comeback once we get back into the difficult sections of the map. Still a third of the way to go, though.
We are approaching the next difficult section. There is still some time for mrekk to maybe claw something back, but it's a tall task, especially with the 3% ac lead for Malisczewski. But we saw it from mrekk in that first KI. Possibility to chain miss quite a bit, maybe drop some accuracy for Malisczewski. It's definitely possible, but it's still a lot to claw back. 80k or so for mrekk to make up here. Combos matching each other. And that pattern right there, how do both of them hit that? There goes Malisczewski, but there goes mrekk as well. They're both down. I think that's probably going to be it on this map. Unfortunately for mrekk, it looks like it's going to be a 6-1.
Yeah, this is at the point of no return now. Malisczewski with a 100k lead coming into the ending. Another remarkable score on another very challenging map as Malisczewski somehow comboing the entire ending with just shy of a 250 combo. And that will give him the 6-2 lead. Match points the rest of the way through for Malisczewski.
Oh yeah, 6-2, excuse me. It was 6-1 for a moment. Okay, yeah, I mean, now mrekk to pick. It's got to be the DT1. Surely, Dig, I've been saying it all game. Surely mrekk picks a DT1 here, because if he doesn't, I mean, he's got other options. It's not to say he doesn't have other maps he can't pick. But you just expect it. I mean, mrekk and DT1, name two things more similar. Name two things that go together better than that.
Yeah, I mean, down match point, this just has to be, it just has to be DT1. There's literally nothing else that I could imagine mrekk picking here. It is, you know, it kind of has that, like, Nomad 1 vibe to this DT1, where, like, if you hit an aim pattern and your opponent misses, or vice versa, that can just decide the mat. I know there are the bursts, but both players have looked pretty comfortable on that type of mapping so far in this match. And there is indeed the DT1. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it ends up going. I think this is one that is pretty competitive. It's why mrekk saved this for so late, rather, you know, going into the DT3 earlier, and kind of some of these other picks we maybe didn't anticipate. Because this is not a map that's easy to be 100% confident on against a player with aim as good as Malisczewski's, and who has improved their speed as well.
Yeah, I think definitely the main concern here for Malisczewski is that I think the aim on the map like this it just looks so so hard in terms of, like, mechanically, the skill cap on this map is very, very high. As you can see, Malisczewski missing early. But for a player like mrekk, I mean, something like this is not really going to test his skills cap whatsoever, so it is going to be down to those random one misses that you were talking about, Tig. That could definitely spell defeat for either of these players in a map like this, but you can see early on, the consistent difficulty for this map is unrelenting. These patterns are just so widely spaced. As mrekk continues to FC, Malisczewski attempting to keep up. He's got the accuracy lead, but mrekk finally goes down, drops the FC there. Malisczewski now with a chance to convert, and he does take the lead based off accuracy alone.
Yeah, does drop though, so Malisczewski will not be able to establish any more of a lead, but once again, huge accuracy advantage, Malisczewski. 3% in his favor in that regards, giving him about a 25k score lead. mrekk does have a bit of a combo advantage. This map doesn't get a whole lot harder, right? It stays at a kind of consistent difficulty. You have, pretty difficult jumps and some pretty difficult tapping, streams and bursts, but I don't really feel that it escalates all that much. So what you've seen now is what you're going to continue to see, and it's going to need to be mrekk holding the rest of the way for quite some time if he wants to bring this one back, but it is going to go over thanks to the combo advantage in just a second, I think.
Oh my god, mrekk barely holding onto the combo there, hitting a couple 50s on that stream. I mean, the aim just doesn't stop. Unbelievable difficulty on this map. There goes Malisczewski. Expect to see breaks in this section. It is going to be Malisczewski to draw up. mrekk now with a chance to convert and make it 6-3. Holding onto this combo now. Oh, he does miss on that section out of all sections. That was definitely a strange one to miss on. It seemed like a mistimed his tapping. But I think he's probably done enough. Malisczewski does have a combo advantage and a slight act lead, but there's still 40k to make up, and there's just a sliver of the map remaining. I don't think there's enough time. I'm barring a complete collapse here from mrekk at the ending. I think he's probably going to have enough in the tank here to take it. Malisczewski misses, though. It was close with that break from mrekk, but Malisczewski unable to hold on. I don't think it would have been enough anyway, but it would have been close.
Yeah, that would have been like a 10-15k scenario. I don't think Malisczewski brings back, the 25-30k in those last couple of moments with the combo he had. Definitely feels like it would have been mrekk holding on regardless, but another super competitive map on an mrekk pick gets him his 3rd point on the board. And now it is going to be the Malisczewski pick, his first pick with a match point in his favor. He does have Hidden 1, 3, and 4, Hard Rock 1, 3, and 4, as well as the available 6 maps. Nomad 2, the one remaining map in the Nomad pool as well, excuse me. So there is one additional map there also at this 6-3 scoreline. Given the way that the reading has gone in this match, whatever of these picks is closest to being a reading map has got to be the option, and I think it's probably looking like maybe a Hidden 3 angle if you're Malisczewski here. You've won tech and you've won reading, so I think that might be the way to go.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree. I'm pretty sure Hidden 3 is most likely the best pick here for Malisczewski, and yeah, he is going to take that Hidden 3. Hidden 4 also being an option, but I think more of a mech tech type map, you probably want to go more for the Hidden 3. I think that Hidden 4 is going to be a bit more of a coin flip. So Hidden 3 makes sense, sort of an ulti, like aim and flow control map with some 1/6 mixed in here. So definitely a type of map that you would expect Malisczewski to perform well on, and I think I would definitely favor him on going into it.
Yeah, you gotta think that this is a favored Malisczewski pick. We did see MCY4. I've seen this yesterday, so who knows? Things are possible.
Yeah, great score from MCY4.
We'll see. Malisczewski looking to close out the match on the 2nd match point, but the first on his own pick. See what he can do here. This is quite a challenge. Some flow, some rhythm, some slider aim. A lot like some of the other has some similarities to some of the other tech picks in this pool. Quite mechanically challenging. but also will challenge all the tech skill sets that you would anticipate. It's an early break from mrekk. Maliszewski once more into the early advantage. Accuracy lead, combo lead, both going his way.
Yeah, I mean, this is still just a classic Maliszewski pick. This is something he could have first picked in the match, and I wouldn't have questioned him. But as I say that, both players falling victim to, I believe, what was a 1/6 pattern right there, if I did see that correctly. They are scattered throughout this map. There's some 1/6 bursts that can just catch you off guard if you're not quite prepared. mrekk chain missing all over the place here, but we're already halfway through this map. I mean, and it's a 70k lead, and the S rank for Maliszewski as well as a huge AC lead. It's looking like he might already have enough in the tank here. It's going to need to be pretty much a FC for mrekk on the rest of this map, and we're going to have to see Maliszewski miss very, very shortly.
Yeah, the time is going to start to run out here for mrekk. A third of the map to go. 100k lead just about here for Maliszewski. Sizable combo. There is some recovery combo for mrekk, but it needs to be a break for Maliszewski if mrekk wants to have a chance at bringing this one back. It's going to have to be soon. And we might be past the point of no return already with that break from mrekk. That's going to steal it.
mrekk.
That is going to steal it.
I think that's going to be GG. As Maliszewski continues to just shred this map. An unbelievable performance from him on this hidden 3, hitting all of those patterns. Very, very well done from Maliszewski. I think the S rank just barring that slider break early on the burst. Pretty sure he pulls home the S rank to close out the match. Yep, it is going to be the S rank as he leaves the lobby immediately.
Oh, he is
GG's.
And that is GG's. Maliszewski gonna close out the win. His first victory over mrekk since last year's Corsace Closed winners bracket final, which I believe was by a similar scoreline. I believe that one was 7-4 in favor of Maliszewski. This one 7-3 in favor of Maliszewski, obviously in a bit of an unfortunate circumstance. And I am going to take a moment here just to kind of explain what's going on, because we've got a lot of people here in chat. We got a lot of people trying to figure out what's going on. So, of course, in case you weren't already aware, mrekk came into this one late, lost his bans, lost the role as a result of it, had no warm-up. Maliszewski goes on to win this match 7-3. We are currently live recording the winners bracket final between Henry and worst HR player. What is going to happen is that match is going to be streamed with commentary from commentators who will not know the outcome of the match. That one will be streamed at about 15 UTC and change, because we do have the next match in this losers bracket coming up at 14 UTC. That one only 35 minutes away. So that one's going to be Malisczewski versus Kriller. That will be coming up in about half an hour. It will be immediately followed by the rebroadcast of the full Henry versus worst HR player match in its entirety. I understand that it's a bit of a challenging situation, but this allows us to get all of the matches streamed completely so that everyone can see them from start to finish without missing any aspect of those matches. So you will want to stick around and stay tuned as those all take place throughout the rest of today. Other than that, congratulations to Maliszewski, getting through a challenging bit of a scenario here to be victorious over mrekk. In the meantime, we'll have a little bit of downtime between matches. Please go ahead and, if you need a manga to read, or if you need a manga to read, excuse me, or if you want to check out Momokai, all that, you can see those here in the chat. We'll be taking the stream down for a little bit. We will have Maliszewski versus Kriller coming up in about 35 minutes. That will be immediately followed by the full rebroadcast of Henry versus worst HR player, the winners final, because we know everybody wants to have the opportunity to see that match from start to finish. That was a lot for me to say, but thank you all for watching. I've been T1G. He's been Mavs. Any final thoughts, Mr. Mavs, as we close out here on Maliszewski mrekk?
No, I mean, well done. That was definitely a mouthful. But yeah, I just unfortunate circumstances, like you said, to not see the full potential of this matchup. Of course, it was pretty hype to see Maliszewski mrekk in a lower bracket finals is kind of crazy. One of them going out in top 6, and it is mrekk. But I think that was the expected result after the shenanigans today. So congratulations again to Maliszewski. Will be moving on up against Kriller, as you mentioned, right? Yeah, moving up against Kriller shortly. So yeah, good luck to him, and congratulations again. And that'll be it from us.